Yeah, are you recording?
We are now.
Thank you.
Okay. Welcome to the Town Council budget meeting, which is a regular meeting for March 31st, 2021. The only thing on our agenda is the approval of the proposed 2021-2022 fiscal budget. I guess that means revision 3.21.2021. That's the version we have in front of us. Linda, is that the correct version? I'll put it on the screen.
There are a couple of other items on your
Version,
agenda.
but I think Tucker, is that the right agenda? Thought we had a couple more items on there.
We do.
Yes, there's a couple of other minutes. We have a series of minutes that need to be approved, and then Linda's got a couple of good reports to give us, and then we were going to get into the budget.
Okay, so
And if I could just, on your tablets today, there for March 25th, there is a revised set of minutes. As if our conversation wasn't hard enough on the salaries, but the only change that I made to the minutes that was reflected in the revised minutes today was stating that for the town clerk and the town treasurer, it just needed to spell out that it was non-union employee percentage cost of living, not union employee cost of living. So I made
Right.
that correction. So I just wanted to call that out to you so that you can all vote on the appropriate minutes.
I can't find the agenda. Rich Townsend, would you like to begin by calling the roll, please?
I'd like to do that. Robin Bates Mason,
Here.
Tom Butterworth,
Here.
Liz Donovan,
Here.
John Engel,
Here.
Sven England. Here. Mark Jemski,
Here.
Stephen Carl,
I'm here.
Mike Morrow,
Here.
Maria Naughton,
Here.
Christina Ross,
Here.
Rich Townsend, here. Penny Young,
Here.
all present and accounted for. You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Tucker, what's first on our agenda? Can you?
The first item is if you would like to call for a motion, you can approve them all together. There are a series of minutes on your agenda. The March 16th public hearing, which was the tax abatement ordinance. Then you had the regular meeting on March 16th. You have a regular meeting of March 18, regular meeting March 23rd, and then of course last Thursday's March 25th meeting, which was a regular meeting including the public hearing. So we can approve them all if someone wants to make a motion.
Do I have a motion? Mark,
I actually have a question.
okay, Mark Jemski has to make a motion. Motion, Mark?
Yes, motion to move
All the minutes. Do I have a second?
all five of them.
Christina has a
I'll second.
second. Okay, Penny, discussion?
When you're talking about when the selectmen's salaries start, do they start July 1 or is it after election?
After election.
Is that incorrectly noted in one of the minutes?
No, so let's see, for the first selectman
Yes.
and the Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
It's November, so it would be November of 2021 for both of those. Is that what it says in the minutes?
No, the minutes say July 1, 21.
Okay, so let's make that change. So to amend the minutes.
Yes, I move that the minutes be amended to reflect the actual date upon which those individuals are then sworn into office, because that's when the salary commences.
Do I have a second? Sven, any further discussion? There being none, vote on the amendment. Penny's
The
amendment.
amended minutes for the 25th and all the other minutes. I gotta
Okay,
see.
and all the other, on the amended minutes and all the other minutes. Raise your hand, please. I see Penny, John, Steve, Liz, Sven, Mark, Maria,
12. I see
Or-
12.
I see 12. The
No
minutes
one's,
passed.
no one's opposed, correct?
No one's opposed.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you for that, Penny.
Okay, next item.
Is the, Lunda has got an award, Government Finance Officers Association Award that he would like to tell you about.
Go ahead, Linda.
Sure. So the town received the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award from the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association of the US and Canada. And this is in recognition for the FY21 budget book. This is that budget book that we began producing, I believe, 2-3 years ago. And in essence, it recognizes the fact that in addition to this public process that we go through after we put the budget to bed, we go through the extra step of making sure that we make the public aware of how the budget was put together, where the line items are. We provide operational detail, but it is a way of just letting the general public know that this is what we plan to do with the funds. It is something, and which will follow up on the next agenda, part of the bond rating. It is a best practice in terms of financial management, and it is one of the factors that leads to the, that's a factor in the credit rating. They look at financial management. The 4 criteria that are reviewed in a budget book is 1, it serves as a policy document. As you know, you will be setting policy tonight because you're setting priorities both on the town and on the Board of Ed side. What are the priorities of the town? And so this process that culminates tonight is a policy process, and that document serves as a policy document. The second element that they look at is that the document shows a financial plan, which is, we do that. We show what the money is going to be spent on, not only this year, but we also look at historical trends and projections for the future, including the 5-year capital. So it shows that we're systematic, not only in the process of approving the budget, but in management and forecasting and looking forward. The third element that they look at is, does this serve as an operations guide? And as you go through the budget book, you will notice that in each of the department sections, we talk about the objectives of the department. We show performance indicators and trends related to performance. So it is an operations guide for anyone interested to understand, what does the health department do? What does planning and zoning do? This document answers those questions in addition to just the financial information. And then the fourth element that they look at is, does it serve as a communication device? Does it share with the public information relative to this process? We include in there information about the town, information about our elected officials, how budget gets appropriated, how budgets get amended, and those types of things. What are the goals? We include the goals of our POCD and how those align with the process. But it's a tool to communicate with the public that this is how we manage our finances, this is how we run the town as well. And therefore, you put this document, you submit it for peer review, and a group of reviewers review it, and then they assign that distinction that the document meets this criteria. And so we wanted to present that to you. It is a high honor to achieve this. It's not by no means easy. It takes a lot of work on all of us on this call, but we wanted to share that and just make you aware that as we conclude the process tonight, we begin the process of communicating what we've been doing the past 6 months or so. And so that's what this document is about. The GFOA has about 21,000 members between the US and Canada. I believe in the state of Connecticut, we are only one of 5 towns that have received this distinction, and even a smaller group around the country. So we were just presenting this to you so that you have it and put it in the records for that. And that's all we have. Wanted to give you that update.
Well, let me be the first to congratulate you, but I hope the whole town council will join me in congratulating the financial professionals who put this package together, who put our budget together, who run our finances so well. I think there's a really great testimony to your team and all the other teams that help you and Joanna put together, these budgets and do such a fine job, including the audit committee, including our bonding committee, including our treasurer. I know that all of them, contribute to this excellence for which you've been awarded. So,
Absolutely.
and I say, I don't take it for granted, because I do know that the financial excellence of the town only a few years ago caused us, a great deal of anxiety. We got anxious about our audit, every year. And so I have to say that, it's really great where we are today. And so thank you for all you do. We also, I think, related to that, got rated by Moody's today. Is that right?
Yes, so that was the second item I wanted to share. We went out for bonds for $10.3 million earlier today, 5.1 of which was refunding existing bonds to take advantage of lower interest rates, and 5.2 was for new monies for various town and Board of Education capital projects. And so we go out for Moody's rating. Moody's again assigned a AAA rating, which is the highest rating that you could get from Moody's, both for the new money issue and for the funds that we are refunding. And again, amongst the things that they look at, they commented on the good stewardship of the finances, the health of our reserves, the process, the transparency, the fact that we are a wealthy community, but that is not alone a factor, but the fact that we manage our funds well. They looked at the oversight of the town, like you mentioned, Board of Finance, Board of Education, Resource Committee of the Board of Ed, Audit Committee on the town, Board of Finance on the town. So all of these things are a factor in their rating. And they also talked about the budget process, the flexibility in which we're able to respond and address issues. We've talked about what we did last year in regards to the special appropriation for the Board of Ed side, and we're also talking about another special appropriation this year and next year, but just the relative ease and system that we have in place to address these issues. And so Moody's and other rating agencies, they look at all of that in assigning the credit. The advantage of having a good credit, obviously, is when we go to the market, like we did today, we have people that are interested in our bonds because they're a great investment for them. And we also save on the interest rates. On the refunding piece today, over 10 years, we saved about $250,000 over the terms of the loan, over the terms of the bonds. We were able to reduce the interest of those existing bonds from about 2% to about 1% over the next 10 years. So that's substantial savings on our part. And as we go forward with our 5-year capital and some of the things that we're planning on doing with the police, with the library, and all of the schools and the roof improvements that we have coming, this is nice to have this rating. It's no different than a personal credit score. When you have a good credit score, you're able to access the market at very good rates. So we also wanted to present that to you because it is a high achievement. There aren't too many entities that have the AAA rating, but again, it goes to the financial management and oversight that we have here in New Canaan. So we also wanted to bring that to you before you approve the budget tonight.
Linda, I need to say I was extremely impressed with this and everything you do, but I can't resist pointing out in the Moody's thing that they did give us a moderate risk for coastal flooding. But aside from that, the analysis was persuasive.
Yes, as they told me, all the things that are within our control, we have an A+.
And once again, we're less risky than Darien, right? I mean, we have a whole lot less risk of coastal flooding than they do. So, I was tempted halfway through your speech. I mean, when you talked about how little risk New Canaan is and how good our rating is, I was almost tempted to buy some of those bonds until you told me that you were only paying 1%. I'm going to have to go look elsewhere. Thank you, Linda. That's an excellent score. It doesn't get any better. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tucker, can we move on to the vote?
Yes, we are moving on to the further review and discussion of the budget.
Okay. Is there any further discussion Does anybody want to say a few words about the budget, or shall we move right to the vote? Okay, if there is none.
John, I just quickly want to thank the Board of Finance for all the work they did to get us to this point, and they really did an unbelievable job this year delivering us this budget. So a special thanks to them for all the work that they did to get us here. It wasn't an easy year, obviously, but they made it a lot easier. So thank you to Todd and the team and the whole Board of Finance. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Anyone else? Okay, if nothing further, then I'll turn to my my two vice chairmen to take us through the first portion and the first motion. Rich, Sven?
Okay, tell me when you want me to shut up. For the general fund for the fiscal year 2022, the town total budget is $38,660,189. The total Board of Education expenses to be paid from the town budget are $555,668. The tax-funded capital budget is $1,726,862. Total debt service budget is $17,617,237. Non-wage contingency budget of $300,000. The total library budget of $2,425,634. Transfers from outside agencies is $949,862, giving a total town budget of $62,235,451.
Do you have a motion?
Moved.
Do I have a
Second.
second?
I'll second it, John.
Okay, seconded by Steve Carl. Any further discussion on the town budget and the motion? Okay, there being none, I call the question. All in favor, raise your hand. Penny, John, Steve, Liz, Sven, Mark, Maria, Robin, Tom, Rich, Christina, Mike. That's 12. That's unanimous. The motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda will be the Board of Education Operating and Health Insurance Transfer Budget. Is there any discussion or motions before we get to this? I guess Mike, did you have a motion?
Yes, John, I'd like to make a motion to reduce the BOE budget by the amount of $463,337 for the purpose of further studying school start times.
Do I have a second? Maria, is there any discussion on this?
John, I'd just like to quickly state, the reason I'm making the motion is just to put a definitive point on our discussion from last Thursday. So I'll just stand on what I said. I'm not going to reiterate. I just think that, in my opinion, there should be a more balanced plan to accommodate all interests, and also a finalized one in order to approve almost $500,000 in taxpayer funds. I'll leave it at that.
Any other comments?
I'll add to that. Again, kind of to repeat some of what I said, I appreciate the willingness of the Board of Ed to continue to look for a good solution. However, I think the fact that it doesn't seem that it's fully articulated right now, and it's not certain that all constituents have been engaged. It seems certain parents are just finding out. Certain community groups have not been able to make plans going forward, which further inhibits parents' ability to plan for this change. So I think getting some kind of feedback on from all constituents, finding an impact, doing an impact analysis,
I think there would be a way to sort of finalize this. So, ultimately, I think we need to find time, whether it's within the school day or in the schedule or optimizing buses. I think it can be done, but the concept of funding something that's not fully planned out is, I'm having a trouble with that. So that's why, that's my position.
Any further comments?
John, I'd just like to say something.
Sure, go ahead.
Historically, I've been pretty tough on the B of E budget. And I am not someone to, just pass it because it's there. I just want to say that, and last year, cutting it with COVID on the horizon, we were in the middle of COVID. It made sense to me. This year, I kind of feel like I have to give great respect to Dr. Lutzy and the entire system for what they did when they were faced with COVID. They had no warning. They had to pivot, turn on a dime, and they gave us a school year that ended up being the envy of everybody in the state. So at this point, and again, we've been debating this for a couple of years. I feel it's time. Let's just do it. Let's just get going, move this forward. Dr. Lutzy said he's going to look at it, he's going to watch it, he's going to tweak it. And given the job that he did with COVID, I believe him. So I will not be supporting a cut, and I would like to see the budget move forward as it stands. Thank you.
John, I'd like to say something. After waiting something like 20 years for the start time to change on the upper schools, I feel conflicted in having to say that I don't approve of the time change schedule for the elementary schools. And I think that the superintendent and the entire team, along with the Board of Ed, had given us a great year in the past, and they have worked hard to make the budget more transparent. And I thank them for that. But in recognizing that, I'm still not happy with the time schedule. And I think we're treading on a dangerous time hour. And I will vote yes on the budget, but with the caveat that I am hoping that those hours will change between now and the time that they're supposed to be instituted. That's it.
Anyone else?
All right.
Penny.
My comments are pretty much similar to Liz and Christina's. I want to thank the whole school administration for just an incredible approach to managing the COVID. I mean, it was extraordinary effort and what we would expect of them, but when it's delivered, it needs to be acknowledged. Listening and to comments from the parents and reading their many letters, and I thank people for taking the time to express themselves because it helps us make a decision. I acknowledge that this is not a perfect plan, but I think in recognition of the effort that has gone into the development of the plan, that we need to support it now and know that the commitment to making sure that it is as good a plan as can be will continue those efforts on the part of the administration and the school board. So I will be voting against cutting those funds and voting in support of the full budget for the school.
Thank you, Penny. Anyone else? If that's it, then I'll call.
I just think that, the folks out there who are still, opposed to changing the times, you still have democratic remedies that are facing you, as I pointed out last Thursday. But that's all.
Thank you, Sven. Anyone else? If there's no further comments, let's vote on the motion. All in favor of Mike Morrow's motion to cut the school budget by $463,337, raise your hand. I see two hands, Mike Morrow, Maria Naughton, All opposed, please raise your hand. I see Penny, John, Liz, Sven, Mark, Robin, Tom, Rich, Christina. So that's, did I miss anyone? No. So that was 10, 2 to 10. So the motion fails. And so that brings us to the next. Share screen. That brings us to the next. Do I have a motion from the co-chairs of education on the Board of Education operating and health insurance budget?
I'll do it. I move that we approve the total general, I'm sorry, I move that we approve the total BOE operating and health insurance transfer budget of $92,274,068.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Rich. And do we have any discussion on the Board of Education budget? Come on, somebody say something. It's $92 million.
I mean, I see Brian out there and I see Katrina, and I just want to, I can't say it enough. Thank you guys for all you do for this town, for the product you produce, which is absolutely second to none. And we couldn't do it without you. So thank you for all you guys do. We really appreciate it. Make the money go really, really far again this year.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that, if I will. I am reminded every day in my job as a realtor, every day when I ask people, why are you considering New Canaan? That it is the number one and often the number two and number three biggest reasons that people move to this town. They say, you have great schools. You've always had great schools. And it's probably a reflection on how well you do everything else. But it's the one thing that they measure when they come in and they say, you're clearly number one in schools. And wow, what a beautiful town and what a beautiful train station and what nice people and what nice restaurants. But it begins with the schools. So I just want to tell you that we recognize how important you are to this town. And I'm very happy to vote in favor of your budget. Any other comments?
Yeah, John, I realize it's a big portion of our budget and a big portion of everyone's tax bill each year. I just want to say that it's the best, it's the bill I'm proudest of to pay each year because it goes a long way. And I say that about every dollar I spend in this town. And the Board of Ed is a big part of it. So I just want to second your comments as well.
Thank you, Mark. If there's no other comments, then let's call the question. All those in favor of the Board of Education operating budget of $92 million and change, let's see, and $92 million, I can't find it. Raise your hand.
92,274,068, $92,274,068.
Thank you. All in favor? I see Penny, John, Steve, Liz, Sven, Mark, Maria, Robin, Tom, Rich, Christina, Mike. So it passes 12-zip. Thank you, everybody. The motion passes. Next, let's see. Share screen. There it is. Okay. Next, we have the general fund operating expenditure budget. How about you, Mark?
That's just the total of the above lines.
Oh,
That's okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
That makes the total general fund operating expenditure budget $154,509,519.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, I see Steve Carl. Any discussion on that? We've passed the 2 lines. There's no further discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. Penny, John, Steve, Liz, Sven, Mark, Maria, Robin, Tom, Rich, Christina, Mike. It passes 12-0. The motion carries. Next on our agenda. Who would like to do that? Go ahead, somebody. Rich?
General fund non-tax revenue budget total of 9,067,728.
Do I have a second? Tom Butterworth, is there any conversation, discussion on the general fund non-tax revenue budget total? Does anybody even want to describe what that is? For those in the room. So Wanda, what is that?
Fees and licenses and all kinds of stuff.
Right, that's everything less tax dollars. So those are grants and other sources of revenue. Oops, the lights just went out in my office.
Okay.
I did not
We're
turn the lights
saving
off
money.
on purpose.
We're saving money in town hall. You have to move around, Linda.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. That's what it was.
All right. I think I know what that is. Any further discussion on that budget? Okay, there being none. Do I, and we have a motion and we have a motion. Did we get a second?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All in favor? Penny, John, Steve, Liz, Sven, Mark, Maria, Robin, Tom, Rich, Christina, Mike. It passes 12-0. The motion carries.
By the way, that was Tiger's energy efficiency. He has motion lights in all the buildings.
Okay, so the next line is the fund balance contribution total. We have to line, it's highlighted. We'll vote on it. How about you, Liz? Make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the fund balance contribution total of $5,600,000.
Do I have a second, Robin? Okay, we have a second from Robin. Any discussion on the fund balance contribution total? Okay, there being none, all in favor, raise your hand. Penny, John, Steve, Liz, Sven, Mark, Maria, Robin, Tom, Rich, Christina, Mike. The motion carries 12-0. It is approved. Okay, next up, we have the amount to be raised by taxation. Do I have a motion? How about you, Maria?
Make a motion to set the amount to be raised. Oh, okay. The amount to be raised by taxation at $139,841,791.
Thank you. And do I have a second? I only can see a few people at a time, so I can't see. Oh, I see Mike raising his hand. Good. We have a second from Mike. Okay. Is there any discussion on the amount to be raised by taxation? Nobody wants to reflect on whether the Board of Finance got it right? No?
John, I'll reflect. I remember something from Linda's presentation a while back, or it was probably only a couple weeks ago. When you look at revenue from taxation, it's up and Linda, maybe I'm wrong here, but it's up 0.6 over the last on a CAGR for the last 5 years. I think that's pretty impressive, and I think everyone in this town should be pretty impressed with that. When you factor in wages are going up 2.5% a year on average, healthcare costs are going up 4.5% on average over that time period, and your taxation is only going up by that amount. I think that's pretty impressive and commendable. So.
Yes, let me just echo that. I think it's really amazing that they have been able to keep they've been able to achieve their goal of keeping the tax rate flat. And for that, they're doing an amazing job. And so I'm very happy to be passing this line, the amount raised by taxation. We have a motion, we have a second from Mike. All in favor, please raise your hand. I see Penny, John, Steve, Liz, Sven, Mark, Maria, Robin, Tom, Rich, Christina, Mike. So the motion passes unanimous, 12-0. It is approved. Okay, next line is the property tax collection rate of 98.5%. Do I have somebody who wants to make that motion? Tom Butterworth.
Yes, I'd like to move that we employ a property tax collection, or we assume a property tax collection rate of 98.5%.
Do I have a second? Steve Carl. All right. Is there any discussion about the property tax collection rate?
Yes, it's still too low. And you can tell that because the compound annual growth rate of the amount of money that we have in reserves is going up faster than the amount of money that we raise by taxation each year. Over taxation, taking the money from the people.
Okay. Okay. Any other and this has been discussed with the Board of Finance in the last few years, so it's an ongoing debate.
Right.
The
And
level
maybe
of-
just,
I was just gonna say, but those funds then get spent. But aside from the discussion, so the taxpayer doesn't think that that money just disappears. It is then, applied to other projects that are on the to-do list in the future, but they get moved forward.
Okay, any further discussion on the 98.5%? I'm glad to hear at least one of you wants to take up that conversation with the Board of Finance. Good, we will. All right. Any further discussion? Okay, there being none. All in favor, raise your hand. Penny, John, Steve, Liz, Sven, Mark, Maria, Robin, Tom, Rich, Christina, Mike. The motion passes. The collection rate will be assumed at 98.5% again. All right, and the final line of the second final, the penultimate line in our budget that we'll be voting on, sewer fund. Steve Carl, would you like to take us through the sewer fund?
Absolutely. It's one of the most necessary items. I'd like to make a motion to fund the sewer fund revenue and expense budget, a total of $1,884,037.
Do I have a second? Liz, a big hand from Liz. Okay, any conversation on the sewer fund?
Just thank the guys, just thank those guys over there. I mean, they are the folks that run our treatment plants. I mean, it's amazing how efficient those guys are. They're quiet, everything always it goes well over there, and we see them maybe once a year, but we try to thank them again. But boy, without those guys, we would be up to our knees. Put it that way.
Thank you, Steve. I do remember that news on the sewer. We got good news from Tiger. I don't know if I see him on the call, but I don't know if he can unmute himself. But he had recent good news that said we applied for and got, I guess, from the state, I guess, permission to proceed. That we got our nitrogen, I guess, and phosphorus credits. I'm probably misstating that, but that all is well over at the sewer plant and that we don't have any imminent issues, coming that way. And I thought, that was a very important thing. It's a risk that we've talked about in the past at town council, whether we were going to have to make a significant investment in our sewer plant. And I think it's a lot of work on Tiger's part and his department to make sure that we don't have, that we're all squared away with the state, and we are. So any further discussion on the sewer? Okay, there being none, all in favor, raise your hand. Penny, John, Steve, Liz, Sven, Mark, Maria, Robin, Tom, Rich, Christina, and Mike all vote in the affirmative. That's unanimous, 12-0. The motion passes. And that means that we have one remaining line. Other funds, dog licenses and parking funds, railroad funds, rental property funds, Waveney Pool funds, and movie theater funds. Who would like to make that motion? Who hasn't made one? Mark.
Sure. Motion to approve total other funds budget of $1,106,214.
Okay. Do I have a second? Robin? Any conversation, any discussion on any of these lines, dog licenses and parking funds, anyone? Okay, if there is no discussion on the dog license fund, I'll call the question. All in favor, raise your hand. Penny, John, Steve, Liz, Sven, Mark. Maria, Robin, Tom, Rich, Christina, Mike, all in the affirmative. That's 12 votes. That's unanimous. Motion passes. And that's the last line item. I think, Rich, didn't you say you wanted to read the final paragraph?
Yeah, sure. This completes the approval process by the town council for the proposed 2021-22 fiscal budget. The appropriation shall be filed in the office of the town clerk promptly and shall be published promptly in summary form at least once. The appropriation shall become effective 8 days after the publication unless a notice of intent to file a petition for a referendum has been filed in the office of the town clerk within 7 days after the publication. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Does anybody else want to make a parting? And I'll open this up to Dr. Lutzy or Board of Ed Chair Katrina Parkhill or any of the other department heads. Joanne Keating would like to make a comment on the budget, but if there are no comments, then I'd just like to thank everybody for all your hard work in putting this budget together. I think this has been one of the smoother budget processes, and I think it's an extremely successful outcome. I am very proud of the fact that we are keeping the taxation rate level, that we've approved the Board of Education budget as requested, and the other town department budgets as requested. So there should be no diminishment of services, no diminishment of excellence, and yet we're able to keep the tax rate level. That's an outstanding job by any objective measure. So thank you all for all your hard work to make that a reality. And if any of you would like to join the town council in our annual tradition, several of the town council members, maybe not all, but several town council members will be going to the Roger Sherman Inn, as we do every year, to toast the budget and the successful budget season. So we invite all of you to join us, anyone to join us. The public is invited, and certainly the departments.
John.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
I wanted to thank you, John, for running the show here over the past month and a half. So thank you for your hard work and leadership in these matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Does Kevin Moynihan want to get the last word before we go home? I want to thank you, Kevin. You did a good job getting it through all the town bodies.
Thank you, John. And as I said to the Board of Finance, I mean, this was a very, very successful. I never expected we could keep the mill rate flat this year. And so thanks to everyone, including the Board of Education and Dr. Lutzy and his entire team. It was a huge effort to keep this town funded and keep the taxpayers hopefully heading back down toward a 17 or a 16 in front of that mill rate. So we got some more work to do, but we're getting there.
We not only kept the mill rate flat, but we bought Steve Benko a bunch of pickleball courts. Gave everything Steve needed to get that pickleball season going. So, yep. success all around. All right, thank you, everybody, and I hope to see many of you at the Roger Sherman Inn and to continue a tradition. And for many of us, it's an attempt to try and get back to normal in some small way after a slightly not normal budget season over Zoom. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
At all. Thank you.